Hey, I know there ain't nobody happier than Brother Hugh on this day.
Yes, sir. Mr. Ziggy. Yes.
Oh, man. Realness.
Yo,
Did he call it or what?
all I have to say is, I'm here to show the world, I'm here to show the world, come on,
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes! What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of the Wrestling Realm Now Podcast. I am Brian H. Waters. I'm with the real Dwayne Allin. Also with Brother Hugh in the building. Gentlemen, how y'all feeling?
Oh, I'm great.
Man,
I'm great, man. I'm sorry, Dwayne. My man,
nah, go ahead. Nah, no, talk your ish, bro. Go ahead.
Hey, you won the belt, man. I told y'all. Literally, hey, y'all, everybody out there, literally like 2 hours before the show, I was like, look, it just hit me. Ziggy's going to win this.
Mm-hmm.
My man Ziggy is coming back. And what did he do? He came back, he went to NXT, and he got his belt. Play that man's music, man. Let's go.
Oh man,
Man.
we would, but you know the way YouTube be acting.
Yes, sir. Yeah, don't do that.
Everybody else can play it. We play it. They're gonna be like,
Man, Hugh, if anybody deserves to be fired up, it's your brother. You took a lot of ridicule for so many years about Dolph Ziggler, man.
I know,
But
right?
how about Zigzag, man? He's having a bit of a career resurgence, though.
I love it.
yeah, I'm loving it. You know, when you sit back and you see somebody that goes out there, he puts in the work. Of course, yeah, everybody wants that moment from the night after WrestleMania 29 when he became champion, and you know the whole world went crazy. Twitter broke, the New York crowd, and everybody's like, okay, man, but he deserves a shot, and this, that, and the other. You can make some, you make a legitimate argument. I remember at that time, the real Dwayne Allin said, man, it's still something missing there. But the one thing that was never deniable was the fact that he was always one of the best wrestlers in the world. He was always somebody who was going to go out there, put on a performance, even if the characters, you might not get invested, but you knew if you saw a Dolph Ziggler match, you was going to enjoy it.
That is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct, man. 100%. He was going to
This is the first wrestling shirt you bought years ago?
Yes, yeah, it was. Yes, it was. The pink one, I like the bright colors and whatnot. But yeah.
Wait, last week we talked about shoes. So what kind of shoes did you have with it?
I had the South Beach 11s on.
Oh, okay.
Ugh.
Yeah. I missed them bad boys. But yeah.
I enjoy Brian H's product placement. How he took a quite sip of his wrestling realm mug, just casually.
I'm just saying, y'all can go right to WrestlingWrealm.com. It's right there on your screen. Go right there, WrestlingWrealm.com. You can get you one. You know what? I don't think y'all mind. I might even throw a Mania code up there. What y'all think?
Oh, a Mania code?
I mean, it is WrestleMania season. It seems appropriate.
Yeah, I might do a Mania code. We'll see. Yeah, I'll see. We'll work on the percentages and all that jazz. But yeah, I'm feeling real generous. My brother Hugh, he's happy. His man won the belt.
Yes, sir.
NXT Championship. That belt. Speaking of belts, that belt stays on sale for like $227. And I remember brother Brandon was like, "Hey man," he keeps sending me the link. And I'm like, "No, I'm not trying to buy it. I'm not trying to buy it." And they keep putting it on a flash sale. Gentlemen, do y'all think we getting a new NXT title soon?
I don't know, but I thought about buying the one last night, boy.
I was ready to say the side. I said, I think I got to get it now. Like I always said I was going to get it, but now I'm like,
Right.
the sense of urgency is there now, man.
I lied to you not. I was up searching for the belts and also his old T-shirts. I was like, yeah, it's time to bring it back out.
Has Ziggler ever had a title that requires side plates?
No.
Like, I don't think he's had
No.
this version of the IC championship.
No, I don't believe so.
Wow. So I'm interested to see what his side plates will look like.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you know, I'm interested in
Right.
all the little details and stuff.
I know how you are.
But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, man. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't watch the match. I know what yesterday was. So my phone was doing do not disturb. Wanted to make sure me and the wife had a good dinner. Y'all know your boy cooked, threw some lamb in the oven, marinated it first.
Chef Brian H in the building.
Yeah, you know. So shout out to my wife. 8 years, woo, long time. But so I afterwards, right? We finished eating, so we just sitting down after we ate and just talked, just had like great conversation, right? So I was like, all right, it was like 10 o'clock. It was like 10:15. And I grabbed my phone and I see Zigzag won. So of course I had to go watch the finish to see how it all went down. Gentlemen, how do y'all?
I think that was for me.
Yeah, it was definitely from you.
That was for you.
So I want to know what do y'all think? Now, what does this mean? Is this a transitional run? What does this mean for Braun Breaker? I glanced through in the Twitter sphere. People say, "Oh yeah, because Braun's getting ready to go to the main roster." I don't know. I didn't get a chance to really process it. Been a busy day at work. What do y'all think?
Well, I think he's
Here,
going.
you want to go first?
Yeah. I'm gonna tackle this one real quick. Braun, it's a great guy. I'm telling you, look, that's the next man up. Seriously. So he's going to get his moment on WrestleMania weekend. That's what that's all about. This Dolph Ziggler thing is just a transitional period. Hey, I'm happy as hell. Can I say that on there? Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm happy because
say whatever you got, dang well, please.
You the one got to market us.
I'm happy, of course, because my man Zigzag won. He got his. That's the only belt that evaded him, throughout his career. So it's like, hey. But definitely a transitional period. Braun Breaker, he's coming back. He's gonna come back strong. He's gonna win the belt WrestleMania weekend. I'm calling it now.
Real
Man, one of the things I love the most about the whole situation is just how in this particular situation that WWE has found a way to utilize their older talent to kind of help work with the younger talent without having it feel like an afterthought. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like for example, when Tommaso Ciampa started first making his way to the main roster, he was on main event every week, and everybody started to get nervous, like, oh boy, here we go. You know what I mean? Another NXT guy that's been born and bred, and now they don't know what to do with him, and he's just kind of there to be a utility guy. And then and then you have these other guys that are seemingly utility guys, two older gentlemen, as I keep saying, because kind of a makeshift tag team. Once rivals, now tag team as tagged as the Dirty Dogs. They're showing up on NXT. I think they've done so much for Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely gave him a chance to step out and show the universe what they're about. And Braun stepping up on Raw. That was great. That was great. So
and then transition. My bad. Go ahead, Hugh.
No, you good. I'm done.
Okay, no, and then transition. I know I'm going in and out, and then transition from, like when I see their matchups on Raw, they're advertising for NXT because they're cutting promos, they doing backstage pieces, and it's like, oh man, it leaves me wanting more. And then when you take someone as decorated as a Bobby Roode, as someone that's decorated as a Dolph Ziggler, and put them in that small NXT atmosphere, man, they're on fire.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, cool. So it's they found a way to allow vets to work with younger talent without just the younger talent showing up on Raw one day and then beating the older talent. I think they made that mistake with Karrion Kross and Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When Karrion Kross was the NXT champion, but then he comes up and he has a squash match with Jeff Hardy because something on the show got mistimed and they only had 90 seconds, which everybody's like, well, this doesn't make any sense, you know? But it's like if they were to do a do-over, we're looking at it right now. You know, to have that type of experience, be able to work with young talent. Like I said, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode working with NXT talent is the equivalent of those guys being released from WWE and going elsewhere. Because they would be doing the exact same thing. They'd be working with younger talent. If you look at all the guys that have gotten either released from WWE or have decided to either not resign and go elsewhere, specifically AEW, they're all working with young talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the part about AEW to me that bores me a little bit with those guys is because I never like the matchups, but you know,
Yeah, I know, understand exactly what you're saying. And when I look at Ziggler getting this opportunity, winning the title, I'm all for the shock factor.
spotlight.
Huh?
Say what?
He's
I
right.
was say, yeah, I'm for the shock factor sometimes, right? Sometimes
Uh-huh.
you need that boost in wrestling. We grew up in a new generation era, and one of the slogans was anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. And it was the idea to make you tune in, but also when they're in your town, go to the house shows because you never know what could happen. And for Dolph Ziggler winning, because of course, as smart Mark say, "Oh yeah, this is a good way to elevate Braun, have him beat a former world champion and a former NXT champion." But on
Mhm.
that one night, Braun doesn't get pinned, but he's just out of because Bobby Roode comes in there and distracts him. That right there makes you say, wait a minute, okay, now you tuning in. But also, how many more people, they see Braun Breaker on Monday Night Raw. The guy looks like $1 million. They was like, oh, you know what? I need to tune in to NXT. If he's their champion, and now he lost it. Now you get to see him kind of chase it a little bit. So I'm happy to see this because it's also not just same old cookie cutter. Person wins the belt, holds on to it for a while, and then drops it. It's really fun to see where they go with this.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is, man. I'm ecstatic. I love it. I'm loving it right now.
Mm-hmm.
It
Let's make it NXT must see TV.
is.
It definitely is for me. Like
Mhm.
if I wouldn't pay it any mind, trust me, that's always to say, you know what? Matter of fact, I do need to catch that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I think NXT is really good in its own right. You know, especially even I like how they have adapted to a new version of it, which was very different from what we were used to. But I think it works. You know what I mean? And they've given us a reason to be involved in it. You know what I mean? Like we've been watching Ziggler for years, and then all of a sudden now he's involved with this younger talent. Like I said, it just brings more eyes to the product. I think they're doing a really good job of utilizing their veterans to work with these younger guys in these smaller atmospheres, and it just makes the show seem like it's that much of a big deal to have a former world champion like Zigzag and as decorated he is to show up for an NXT in a space that usually there's no way in the world you could predict him even showing up on the show. I remember when they first teased it, he said, "Well, maybe I'll come to Tuesday." I was like, "Oh, he's not going to show up on NXT." And when they did, I was like, "Oh, this is great." You got Bobby Roode hiding and dressing as a cameraman. I'm like, man, that's the storytelling that I'm looking for. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it make something that's not meant to make sense make sense. So,
Mhm.
my whole mantra at this point in time, at this age, as long as you can make it fun and make it interesting, and keep me locked in, man, I'm all for it.
There we go.
Yeah.
What it's all about. It's entertainment, baby.
Well, speaking of fun and interesting, WrestleMania. I was gonna do a show one way, and I was gonna talk about the debut company doing it debuting, but I don't want to right now. I want to have fun. WrestleMania. Stone Cold Steve Austin will be there. He has answered the call. Kevin Owens been calling him out, little subtle jabs, but he finally mentioned his name. And it was that moment I knew. I said, oh, yes, Austin's going to be there. There's no way this man was going to be called out and not show up. It just doesn't go with the Stone Cold Steve Austin brand. Gentlemen, would you be surprised if this turns into an impromptu match?
No, I'm not. I'm not surprised at all.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be a match. Honestly, I think it's just going to be a fight, a brawl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Stone Cold is actually in good enough shape to handle a match of that caliber right now. But he is in the ring with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is a very good talent, and he can carry a match.
Mhm.
So we might see a little something. But yeah, definitely, he's getting physical no matter what.
I like how they're teasing it a little bit because at first it was like, oh, it's a match, but then it's like, oh, well, he calls him out to be on the Kevin Owens. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Because he kind of said some real disrespectful things to Stone Cold, and what's different about this year's involvement with Stone Cold versus previous year's involvement. Like for instance, Stone Cold has been known to come out there, have a segment, say a few words, and then leave a couple of stunners. Right,
Mm-hmm.
the last time they went Dallas, you know what I mean. He was out
Yep.
there with Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley, and
And the
that was the
New Day.
rest. And you know, the New Day did a little dance, and he stunned Woods, and Woods went flying. And that was a WrestleMania that, you know, there was a lot of injuries on that show. Like there was no Seth Rollins, you know what I mean. There was no Neville. You know, there was a lot of missing talent from that show because of injuries, and that was when we kept saying they got to make the most of this because of. I don't think Roman was on the show either, was he?
No, Roman was in the main event, bro, with Triple
No,
H.
I'm tripping. Wow, he was.
Cena.
That was it. Was
I just
Cena had just came. Cena
Yeah,
had
he
just come
showed
back.
up, but he wasn't, you know, in wrestling.
He
He
wasn't.
wasn't
He
in
wasn't
wrestling
even.
mode.
I don't think he was even cleared, but he did it anyway. He had
Yeah.
a segment with The Rock, and they took out the Wyatt family.
Yep.
Um,
Rock's last match.
yeah, because they had to vacate the WWE Championship. That's when the Roy that year. That's what the Royal Rumble winner was Triple H, and he got the title that year.
Yeah. But of
So,
course, Roman as
well, yeah,
as he was the champion when he won in that Survivor Series tournament.
right. So I'm like, so what's going to be his involvement this year? Of course, there's rumors and innuendo, but I think the best part about it is like, I mean, I suspect we see Austin get a little. I don't know if we're going to get a full blown match, but The Rock has been known to say things like, At that WrestleMania, hey, I'm not. He wasn't on the card to wrestle, but that man came out there. He snatched off his pants. He had his trunks on. He was in full gear. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
couple rock bottles, a people's elbow, and it wasn't really a match. It was a segment, but he was still part of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cena was the same way. You know, he wasn't really. I don't think he was cleared. You know, he was. You could tell he had lost a lot of weight because of the surgery, but he still got out there. He had his segment. You know, a couple of attitude adjustments. You know, so I'm expecting a segment like that between Austin and Owens, man. But I'm curious because Owens is really intense. I'm like, wait a minute, you're calling him out as if he's going to fight.
Mhm.
Like, what are you telling me? Like, you know, he's insulted quite a few people before. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the difference between now and what he plans on doing at WrestleMania?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, what I'm seeing when you build it like this, the fact is, people just want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Sure.
Brian H. Waters, never seen Austin in person. So just the fact that for a lot of people like me who was Stone Cold Steve Austin fans, getting that opportunity to see him, you know, hear the glass break, see him do the strut that we've all imitated and hit the four corners on the ring, you know, that's going to be a moment. Now, not saying we're gonna have a match because you know wrestling fans and whatnot, they're gonna have all these high expectations. Not even like we've been watching wrestling long enough, we know Stone Cold Steve Austin has never given us the prototypical 5-star match, brother. It's always been about the brawling and you know, right in your face, smash mouth. And I think him and Kevin Owens, if it gets to that when it gets to that point, it's going to be fun. I thought like, man, what if he you know, he don't wear breakaway pants like The Rock, so I don't think we see him come out there and you know, all of a sudden we blink and then he's in his trunks. But it would be cool to see if this does become a match. You know, they say move all the stuff out of the ring, ring the bell. So I believe he's on night 2. You know, so it's going to be interesting. I'm just happy it's done. I'm happy it's a done deal. I'm interested to hear what Kevin Owens has to say. I love the promos. I love the leading up with all the other Texans. You know, that's one thing. Kevin Owens is a heat seeker, and you know, and he's really good at what he does. So this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's WrestleMania season, man, and you're gonna have your nostalgia pop. You want to have your legends involved, and we've always looked at Kevin Owens as a version of Stone Cold in some way, shape, or form. I
Facts.
remember early Ring of Honor days, we kept saying like, man, he reminds us of Stone Cold. He was beefing with Jim Cornette and the company.
Mhm.
Right.
And the crazy part was we didn't know at the time, but it was on screen and behind closed doors. They didn't really see
Yeah.
eye to eye in regards to his career and where he was headed. But there was an antagonist and there was a protagonist. There was an anti-hero and there was this kind of a traditional authority figure. So I mean he's always he's never been shy about Stone Cold's influence on his career and his and the way he approaches everything. And this is like I can't imagine kid Kevin Owens having this moment to share in the ring with Stone Cold at WrestleMania. It's got to be surreal. Even if he doesn't have a full match, that moment itself, Kevin Owens has a way of making moments live on in time, and I think that's what makes him so valuable. Even a couple years ago during the pandemic era, when
Mhm.
WrestleMania was in the Performance Center. He found a way to make it memorable by jumping off the sign onto the table against Seth Rollins. He has a way of creating these moments, and I think I'm almost certain that he's going to do the same thing at this year's WrestleMania.
You know what's interesting about him is you could make the argument that he really hadn't had WrestleMania moments, but the one thing he's been able to do to keep himself relevant and to keep money in his pocket is the WrestleMania shirts with the KO Mania shirts. Those prototypical whatever
Right. I think
Mania
last
it
year he
is.
had what, 5? He had
Yeah.
5 last year. Yep.
Yep, and it was, it played off of the Mega Powers explosion. So this year, you expect to see some sort of Hogan-esque, Warrior-esque type of shirt. Maybe they might even put him and Stone Cold on it. I don't know, but it's one of the things as you look forward to. So I think it's cool. Last year he had a great match with Sami Zayn, and I think unfortunately, just the circumstances and so much going on may have been forgotten about. It's kind of like one of those things like the diehards are like, oh yeah, remember Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wrestled, but a few people may forget about it because of everything else that happened last year, and that's why I say a lot of times I understand when WWE doesn't book certain shows to be super heavy because you don't want to forget. Like Bruce Pritchard talked about now, while I hated the Triple H and Booker T promo, but he talked about WrestleMania 19. They wanted that night to be about Brock Lesnar finally, getting the belt back, overcoming Kurt Angle. So they didn't want nothing else to outshine that. I'm assuming more so as far as title changes and whatnot. But and that's the thing. Sometimes you do see that in wrestling. Did y'all see AEW Revolution yet?
No, I caught clips of it. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch it, man. But I have not heard a bad thing about it. So
I give you one bad thing.
I heard it was too long. But is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Yeah, I heard it was like a full pay-per-view for the pre-show, and then it was like a whole nother show all the way through. But
I'm gonna tell you what
we
helped me. To be
hmm
honest with you, my wife was redoing my hair.
so
Now
you had nowhere to go anyway.
she started around like 4, and by the time she finished, it was like at the start of Moxley and Bryan. Then they had their match, and I'm like setting up to get stuff ready to do to produce the post show for work. And then
Hmm.
I forgot about the Jeff Hardy, I mean not Jeff Hardy, the Sting in their match. And then I was like, oh yeah, these guys are supposed to wrestle. And then AEW kind of had wrestling do the calm down match, which Sting 62 years old, he wasn't gonna be outshined hitting that splash. I'm like, what the heck is he doing?
Thing is, wow, 62 years old flying off. So like, come on, man.
Right. And here's a guy who we thought may never wrestle again after as the realness say,
Seth
Seth
Rollins tried
Rollins
to kill him.
Yeah. He threw this buckle ball like, dude, no. But yeah, so but to me, I mean the match of the night, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. And I'll say this. When you think of Jon Moxley, you don't think of great matches. You think of like, stuff and hardcore and all that. that was his best wrestling match for me, as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, his best wrestling match. And obviously, look who he was in the ring with. But I love the story. And then here comes William Regal. And I don't know if y'all saw the memes on social media. Regal was like the parent when the dad coming in the room when two kids are fighting. That's how he like when he broke them two apart. So that was cool. And then, Jericho and Kingston was solid, but because it was such a long match, I think most of the time people forgot about it. You had Jade Cargill going viral, and she dressing like Jade, and all the other stuff she did. So it was just a lot. It was a lot to the show, but it didn't take away from it. I'll say the tag team match, I've seen all of the characters have better matches. But it wasn't a bad match. It's just I've just seen them have better. I thought it was gonna steal the show, and it did.
That's an interesting take. So wait, you thought the tag team match was supposed to steal the show?
Remember what we said last week? We said,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is gonna be a banger," right?
Yeah.
So I guess I used the wrong term, "steal show." I ain't gonna say "steal show," but I thought it was gonna be like one of the matches. When the Pentagon and them when they won the match,
Right.
their tag titles, we kept talking
Yeah.
about it, right? When
Right.
the Bucks
Oh,
finally
okay.
faced off
Yeah, sure.
with the Revival, we kept talking about it. This ain't to me. This wasn't one of those matches that we'll just keep talking about. It didn't. It was just to me. It was another match on the show. Good match.
Sure. Yeah.
Even the show with it being so long, I can't even tell you a match that I would cut. Because just Sting doing that spot alone, the fact that he did it was like, that was pretty cool to see. Even though, when we give credit where credit is due, it was cool to see. With that being said, I wouldn't have taken away that match. I just would have cut a lot of matches shorter, especially the dog collar match. It didn't have to be over 20 minutes, So it was just a lot of matches I would have just took some time off.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Now, do you think that was because of what you had already seen, or it's still just you still think it's a timing all the way across the board?
It could be both, to be honest with you. Yeah, it could be both. And I get it. Like AEW, they do this all the time. They make these heavy matches, and I'm like, yo, here we go again. But I understand it's a wrestling company, and that's what they like to do. So, and then the stories all made sense. That's the one thing I will say. It didn't feel like any of those was just fluff. Even their buy-in, those matches felt like they all had their purpose. There was all like legitimate beef. That's the thing I will give the company credit for, because they have so few pay-per-views, they can do stuff like that.
Sure, no doubt. I mean, I think that's one of the things that AEW does very well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it kind of reminded me of the very first All In show. It was
Yeah.
so much that went into that one show, and I think by keeping the pay-per-view short and not doing so many, they do a lot of TV specials. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you'll have a AEW special like the Bash at the Beach style, whatever the heck they call theirs, or it'll take the place of a Dynamite or a Rampage or whatever the situation may be. So I mean, I think it's a different model, but I mean, I think it's pretty proven. I think it works for them and their audience. So more power to them.
Mm-hmm. And they got another TV style match coming up, TV special, as Thunder Rosa came up short. They put her in another match put her in a match with Layla Hirsch for #1 contender, basically. And I think now she'll get the title from Britt Baker, because they try to get her to her home. So it's like, okay, that's cute. If anything, and this will sound bad, that would have been the match I would have taken out, just knowing where we're going, or would have, definitely would have cut it shorter. But again, I would, it's just one of those things, like, y'all doing this because everybody knows, like, you can't, especially with like nowadays, you can't fool people. It's been a year since they had their match, so Britt Baker's had the title long enough. It's like, clearly we know who's going to get the title next.
Right. Yeah, it's a little obvious, but so is AEW.
Speaking of which, right? Jeff Hardy made his debut.
Segway.
Yep, let's throw something in there. Jeff Hardy made his debut.
Mhm.
Every time these people and then Swerve Scott made his debut last week. Well, no, that ain't his name.
No. That's not his name.
Swerve Strickland.
Swerve Strickland.
Because it's like nobody calls him Shane Strickland no more.
Right.
But I'm these more of these debuts coming in, and I had a question. I had a question as I was sitting here when you made your comment in the chat, and you can let the people know if you want to show them, tell them. But it made me. I have this question for you guys, gentlemen. Now, if AEW could have gotten all the players, because it feels like now they have the toys that they want.
Yeah.
Now they have all, like, it's like, you know how when you grow up and you're able to get all the action figures that you've chased for so long, all of the Jordans you chased for so long. Now it seems like they finally got it, right? So it made me wonder if we would have put, let's take out, no disrespect to the other talent, but let's take out a lot of the people we have never heard of before that may have been featured on the card 8 months ago, a year
Ricky
ago.
Starks.
Yeah. And now, they kind of regulated the dark. Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss, now that
Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks. And now that those people, now that they have the Keith Lees, the Bryan Danielsons, the Jeff Hardys, now that they have these people, right? CM Punk, if they would have started with this roster in October 2019, gentlemen, do you think you would be more invested in their program than you are now?
Oh, I definitely would have.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, absolutely.
Easy. Because I felt the same way about TNA early on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in its infancy, when I was the most interested, I was like, man, if I could just get a few more familiar faces over here. One of the things that got me interested in TNA when I first discovered it, I told you it was late. It was a late Saturday night, maybe around between 10:30 and midnight, and I was flipping through Fox Sports Net is what the channel that it came on. And first of all, it was wrestling. So I said, oh, it was wrestling. And then I saw familiar faces. I saw Billy Gunn debuted. I saw Road Dogg. I saw Conan. I saw Kevin Nash. I saw Sean Waltman. I saw Jeff Jarrett. And then I saw a cast of new characters that I was familiar with, like Abyss and Monty Brown and Kid Cash, from ECW. And then they showed a video package of AJ Styles and all these other things to kind of give you more of an idea of what I was watching, And I was like, man, if I could just get a few more bodies over here, man, this TNA stuff might be pretty cool because, you always appreciate new talent, but you always want to see some familiar faces. And I felt the same way about AEW. If what they have now, I would easily be way more invested because I like the idea of AEW, but I haven't been a fan of a lot of the new talent they've brought in. They haven't caught on with me. I still think Ring of Honor in its heyday, 14, 15, 16, probably really 14 and 15, to me, introduced me to more global superstars that I probably would have never given a chance or a shot to. They changed the way I looked at, new talent. Like I was in a room with Moose. I was in a room with Hanson and Rowe with the Viking Raiders. You know what I mean? When they were just getting their feet wet. I was in a room, with Leo Rush when he was doing security. Like those are moments that I was there. But that period of time in professional wrestling, I was so desensitized to what the WWE was giving us in 2015. I was clamoring for something fresh. But it's like it hasn't clicked with me in AEW yet with all these other guys. And think about it, I'm into AEW because of the familiar faces in the first place. Cody, the Bucks, Y2J, even Hangman Page. I remember he was the young boy for BJ Whitmer and Ring of Honor. Like it's the Kenny Omegas from New Japan. Like it was I wanted to see more of that. And if they had the roster they have now early on, I think I would have given it that much more of a fair chance. But at the same time, though, I would have seen. I want a place I can enjoy my favorites. You know, even if they're not in WWE, I can get over it. At least they have a place to go. You know, I really haven't been super invested in the new talent. I'm just not feeling a lot of them, and that doesn't take anything away from them. It's just not my cup of tea. So I'm okay. People get upset when AEW signing all the WWE guys. I'm the one person that just doesn't. I don't mind it because I'm like, well, at least I get to see my favorites get in front of the TV for a little bit. Now,
Right.
my issue with AEW and those guys is just the people they work with. I'm just like, oh, this is boring. You're not giving me a reason to want to be invested in why he's there. You know what I mean? But at least I get to see them. At least they're not lost. I don't got to scour the YouTube trying to, or Daily Motion, you know, back in the day, trying to find footage of my favorites in their matches. It's like, okay, at least I get to keep up with them somehow. It's like TNA with Jeff Hardy. I've been a Jeff Hardy fan forever. I didn't watch all his stuff in TNA because all his stuff in TNA wasn't good to me because TNA just it stunk in a lot of ways, you know. But if he had a good match, I would go catch it.
Right.
I remember one time he had it was the TNA World Championship between him and Bobby Lashley. I saw a clip of it and I was like searching for the match. And I wasn't watching the program at the time, you know. But at the same time, if I see one of my favorites putting on something good, I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna go watch that match. I may not watch the show, but I'm gonna go follow up with because I saw Jeff Hardy and Bobby Lashley put on a crazy match and I saw a crazy spot, you know. And I feel the same way now with AEW with Jeff Hardy making his debut. I was not okay with him. You know, I didn't like the fact how he left WWE. I didn't like the whole situation how it went down. He was just I had a bad feeling for some reason. It just I always do with Jeff in WWE. Sometimes it always goes left field somehow. And you know, and he was just turning the corner, but sometimes I feel like there's just too much pressure for someone like him. And that's just from the outside looking in. And you know, we were hoping that he was gonna be in, you know, get back to that main event upper echelon of the programming, but I mean, you know, whatever happened. At least I get to see him still.
Yeah.
You know, in AEW, and I'm sure he'll put on some really good matches, and they'll probably tell some really good stories. So that part of it I enjoy, but I think if the roster they have now is there early, right now I'm just kind of like, they've kind of showed their hand to me already.
Yeah. Yep.
So now I can't really get invested in what they're doing. I just got to enjoy the matches for what they are. That's how I look at it now. I don't tune into the show to enjoy the wrestling show. If I see something good, if I see one of my favorites putting on a good match or having a good matchup, or it's a matchup I actually want to see, I'll tune into it. But like I said, man, I'm a bit of a wrestling snob. I don't have to enjoy everything. If I don't like something, I can say, I can be as harsh on the product as I want to because I can. Like, I don't have to like a Christian match in AEW because Christian has given me a lifetime of wrestling matches that I can go back and watch and enjoy just as much.
Yeah.
I can go back and watch Christian and Kofi Kingston from SmackDown and Christian and Jack Swagger. Like, I can enjoy, like, you know what I mean? I don't have to enjoy him versus whoever he faces in AEW. You know what I mean?
I don't need it.
You know, I can go back and watch Christian versus Omega. Like, they hit me in the face with those matchups early. Man, you set the bar kind of high, and then you just went down from there. Yeah. Like you gave me Daniel Bryan, and I'm still calling him Daniel Bryan. You gave me Daniel Bryan and Omega on the first go round. I'm supposed to get involved in anything else after that. You know, I enjoy watching Daniel Bryan kick people's teeth in. Like that's his gimmick, and I enjoy that. That's fun. But I can never like he's not involved in anybody. Like he had a feud with Omega, which I was interested in, but it went to a draw because of Omega was taking time off regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
Now, what am I supposed to enjoy? He's not facing anybody. There's no matchups. There's no conflict.
He's teaming with Moxley, and they got William Regal.
Anybody in their right mind gets in a ring with those two guys in the ring, and that man on the outside is an idiot.
Yeah.
Who are you gonna face? FTR? Who are you gonna face? FTR?
No, it's funny you say that. Well, they just fired Tully Blanchard.
I missed that too.
Yeah, they just fired him tonight. But it's funny you say that because that's what pretty much Regal said. Like, okay, but they not gonna be nice guys. They gonna kick, you know. And Danielson said, you know, in the interview that he said pretty much like, we want to beat everybody up.
I love how he came in.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, man, I'm not here to work for young guys. I'm here to kick their teeth in." I was like, man, he's just got this violent
He's a
persona,
bully.
but he does it all in the name of pro wrestling, so it always somehow seems pure.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? Like that he has a way of doing it. He's like, well, I do this all in the name of pro wrestling because I
Me-
love professional wrestling and it's pure.
Remember when he transitioned before, like he really started doing like before Yes caught on, and I remember you came to school one day, and you was like, man, this is when we was in college. He was like, man, Daniel Bryan, he's starting to feel himself a little bit. Big Show go up to him, he's like, get your hands off my shoulder. And you
Yeah,
started
yep.
seeing this little bully come
This
around.
edge, yep.
And even his in 2011, I think people forget about 2012, the summer of 12. Hey, what's that? 11 or 12? It was when him and Punk. Yeah, 12. When him and Punk had their battles, and it was feeling like over AJ, and he's telling, he's like bullying AJ and whatnot. Me and brother Hugh was at WrestleMania, the Raw after Mania, when he told AJ, "Go, you cost me the title." He's a bully, and now he's got Moxley. Like they don't care. It's gonna be fun to watch, though. I see what you're saying. Not having something to get invested because like who's going to feud with him, but it's gonna be fun watching him just terrorize that roster.
Like I want to see some intense matchups, and it is not like they haven't done it. I'm just not a fan of what they've done so far, right? Like like I like old school stuff like Clash of the Titans. I want to see two undefeated guys go at it eventually and then tear the house down. Like I want to see Lance Archer have 20 squash matches. I want to see Keith Lee have 20 squash matches, and eventually they gotta see who's who. You know what I mean? Like those are classic themes in the theatrics of professional wrestling that I still enjoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like this, but sometimes, man, AEW has a lot of filler. Like next week we get Keith Lee versus QT Marshall. I'm not gonna watch that match. Like because think about it. We live in the age of information right now, right? I don't have to watch the match. All the highlights I can go check on YouTube. They're gonna post it on their YouTube channel. So if Keith Lee does something insane, like he flips him up, throws him out the ring, I can go to YouTube and watch 3 minutes of that.
It's gonna become a GIF.
Like I don't have to sit there and watch that for an hour. I just, man, I struggled to watch AEW today. I was just like, bro, this is boring. It's not my cup of tea, man.
It definitely is a hard product to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I struggled through that hour that I I tuned in for. I tuned in exactly like literally. Matt Hardy was getting jumped, and then I was like, look, hey, you know what's next? Sting music hit, then Jeff Hardy came out. So I mean, like it's hit or miss for me, honestly. I can do without it. Like Dwayne said, I can always catch a highlight and figure out what happened, piece it together.
Yeah, I don't have to watch the show. Like I said, I'm not pressed for it. It's just me. Like I said, I'm trying. Like today, I was really trying. I was like, bro, like I was sitting there and I was just like, man, this isn't working for me. I was just bored. It was just like I was like, bro, I'm struggling. Like wrestling is childish, right? It's it's meant to be a PG product, and there's other styles of professional wrestling that have a different edge to it, which people enjoy, and I do too as well. But when I watch Raw and SmackDown and NXT, it's so campy. It's like they cater to me like I'm a child. Like that's how they book their program because it's children's television. It's like I still watch cartoons and I watch old cartoons because I wanna still feel the same feeling I did when I watched that cartoon when I was a kid. Certain stuff is like, okay, I'm too old for that. Certain stuff is like, no, I still like this. It takes me back. That's how I like to watch professional wrestling because I'm an older fan. So all the intricacies and stuff like that we even have conversations about, I want to suspend those for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, however long I'm watching a product, right? That's what I needed to do for me because that's what makes it fun. Watching even stuff like watching Raw when you had the mixed tag matches between Reginald and Dana Brooke versus Tamina and Kira Tozawa. Like that stuff is funny to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because when I'm watching a 3 hour show, they give me a break. All the wrestling isn't the same. It's not just about professional wrestling. I get different styles of professional wrestling. I get a serious storyline. I get a lighthearted storyline. I get a joking storyline. Now they all meet for the same situation, which is wrestling. That's how they all come together, right? But they give me different versions of what I'm watching. And AEW has adapted that as well because they got guys like Orange Cassidy and they got guys now like Dan Housen. Like they're figuring out the importance of the entertainment piece of it, which is cool. But I need more of that to keep me kind of locked in because it's TV for me at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's television. Like I'm looking to be entertained. I'm not watching wrestling just because it's wrestling. I watch it because I'm genuinely entertained by what I'm watching. You know,
Yeah.
so you know it is what it is. Like I said, it's not a critique on the product itself. It's just it doesn't click with me. Not for an entire show just yet.
Got you. Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I do. Even like some of the stuff is like, nah, I don't want to talk about that. Go into the rundown. Nah, I ain't gonna talk about that. And then even on the shoot level, same thing. It's always don't give AEW no love. Well, it's nothing. It's nothing like exciting. Nothing to like really say. Yeah, I want to drive home. I really want to talk about this. There's no like water cooler. Like you remember, like for instance, remember when the realm started, right?
Right.
And we went to school the day after The Rock made his return against and called out John Cena in the feud leading up to Cena and the Miz, right? Everybody
Hmm.
was talking about it. Then there was, after that, it was Cena getting the belt back. People was talking about that. Lil Jimmy, obviously the Punk promo, that's 2011. But there was always something. And to me, with AEW, there's nothing that happens too much that like dominates the water cooler. Like Adam Page had a championship match tonight against Dante Martin. I'm like, come on,
Oh,
bro.
for real? See, I didn't even
There
know
we
that.
go again, yo. It's the matchups, man.
Like,
I didn't even know that happened. Like,
yo, so you mean to tell me you just defended your championship against Adam Cole, which is a solid match. It was, again, long, even though Adam Cole botched his entrance because he went the wrong side instead of the regular hard cam. Maybe they flipped the arena. I don't know. But you do that, then you put him in the ring with Dante Martin, a guy who I don't even believe will win the TNT championship. Like, stop it. Like, that's a job. Like, that was like when Bret Hart, like at least when Bret Hart was defending the championship against Papa Shango, you could at least believe it because Shango did put a curse on the Ultimate Warrior. And there was always the talk like, well, when Bret became champion, he's a fighting champion. He needs to stop defending the belt all the time. But he's defending against people. He wasn't defending the belt against a Brooklyn Brawler.
I mean, but even when they did do that, man, they found, of course we talk about the heyday, so it's completely
Yeah.
different. They found a way to make it fun and make it make sense. Like for instance, you want to say, every once in a while you want to see the champion on TV and you want to see them defend the title. Like that's a given sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be against someone that's not in, necessarily a contender for the title right away, but somehow you got to make it believable. So like for instance, I remember I was watching one Raw rewind or whatever you want to call it, and it was a matchup. They announced that tonight Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to he's going to take on the most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, for the WWF Championship.
Yeah.
Now you say, okay, cool. That was a filler match for the WWF Championship. Nobody thought that Ken Shamrock had a shot, but it was still based on a bigger story. Well, the story was this overall arcing theme of let's try to get this title off Stone Cold Steve Austin. Every week that was the theme, right? Two, it was leading to a pay-per-view, right? And they were like, in the middle, before we get to this pay-per-view, let's do everything we can to try to get this title off of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So then you put him in a ring with someone that is like the muscle of the corporation at the time, which was Ken Shamrock.
Man.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense because they are trying to get you can fill in the gap just by watching it. You can say, okay, well, they are trying to get the bite off Austin. Well, Ken Shamrock is kind of crazy. So if there's anybody that can try to take Austin out, and then that led to whatever story you were trying to tell. whether it be a dusty finish, whether Austin got the best of Shamrock, whatever the case may be, like those overarching themes may you like it feels like it doesn't leave you asking questions when you're watching. So I shouldn't have to work that hard when I'm watching television, right? Especially if I'm going to watch a product that's supposed to entertain me, not just be a competition.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want to peg wrestling as AEW, oh, this is a competitive brand because we care about the competition. I don't think they even keep records anymore. I mean, I'm sure they probably put them up on the match cards, but to me, there's no emphasis on it like it used to be.
Jade is 29-0.
Good for her. But I mean, you know what I mean? But it's just,
That's why I show up every week. Right there.
I'm just like, it's not, trust me, it's not me because I've watched promotions do it before. It's possible. It is possible to make people care about your new talent. And some people love what they're doing. I appreciate it. But the majority of us don't because the numbers show it.
Now, see, she's somebody I care about, though.
I appreciate it, but the majority.
My bad.
Oh.
That's funny.
I apologize.
He's creating his own sound. He's recording his own sound bite in the middle of the show. That's very realm-like.
That was a mistake. My bad. I apologize.
It's all good.
Don't apologize. You heard Vince McMahon say, no apologies.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, for instance, Jeff Hardy's in AEW now, right? Okay, all right. It took me a while to get over it, but I'm over it. I'm happy to see him. He's going to be the same Jeff Hardy as far as I know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's going to do Jeff Hardy's things. That's the best part about Jeff Hardy. I think the most is he's not going to veer away too much unless he starts getting overly creative, like when he wanted to be the Antichrist professional wrestler. I was like, bro, I'm not a fan of this. This is not.
I was happy he had his music, though. They had that Hardy Boys.
They got their Hardy Boys music. I guess they own the rights to that too, but
it's public domain according to Twitter.
Okay, well, I mean, I think so. It is because I remember hearing their theme on an MTV commercial one time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I was like, man, it's dope. I was like, why are they using the TNA?
Yeah, that's it's so we know we're gonna get of course a lot of the tag team matchups that we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really none in AEW that makes like I get the position where bring up the young tag teams and but there's nobody that, of course you want to see like of course the Hardys and the Bucks running back again on a bigger stage. Hardys versus FTR, Hardys versus Death Triangle, Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. But it's just like
first we get in the Hardys versus Private Party.
No, but I don't want to see that. Like once again, like see when the Dudleys went to TNA, they were fresh matchups for them. Like there's a difference between working with young talent and then having fresh matchups.
Okay.
Right. After the invasion, when WCW brought in, Bruce Pritchard often says, like, look, man, these guys, when we had an influx of that mid card WCW talent, like granted they weren't new faces, but they were fresh matchups, right? We got to see Perry Saturn and Billy Gunn go at it, or Eddie Guerrero and Road Dogg. Like those are two familiar faces, but we've never had this matchup, and we never thought we would get a chance to see it. So a fresh matchup is beneficial to what you're trying to do, rather than trying to raise up or make a star, right? You guys are trying to make Private Party. I'm supposed to expect like Private Party to hang with the Hardy Boys because Matt Hardy left them and said, I got to stop being selfish and do stuff for me. Come on, man. I'm not buying it. Like it's too new. Like, come on, man. Like, give me a fresh matchup. Give me I'll take the Hardys versus Pentagon and Ray Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that's a fresh matchup. Like those are two established guys that really haven't crossed paths like that as a unit. You know what I mean? At least not on this level. I'm okay with it. Let's do that. All that other stuff, like I don't want to see. I really don't want to see Hardy versus Private Party. Nothing against those guys, but it's just like I'm not interested in nothing they do anyway. It's bad enough we got a Street Profits, but they find a way to make those guys relevant, and they're doing job in their role. They're doing a good job in their role. I'm not a fan of Street Profits, but Like, I'm not gonna
I
say that
love
they're
him,
not.
man.
I'm not gonna say they're not over. Like the fans love them. I'm like, man,
Mhm.
they've accomplished what they needed to accomplish coming from NXT. I remember when they first tagged with each other, and I was like, oh, he's tagging with him. I thought this dude was going to get cut. In front of Angelo Dawkins because
Yo, everybody say that. He was down there forever.
he was there for a long time, and I was like, oh, he's still there. I said, they already cut yo. This just is this is his last chance to do something, so they could say they were at least fair enough to do it. But man, he has found his niche. I'm not a fan of Street Profits, but I'm not gonna say that they're not good at what they do because it works. They're on every commercial. They come out there, they put on good tag team wrestling. They're there to entertain the crowd. There's a balance between what they do, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't. I barely want to see Street Profits versus the Hardys, let alone a inferior team
Right.
in the private party. No disrespect to those brothers, they're just young. That's not their fault. You know what I mean? It's not their fault, but it's like, come on, man, you got to give me a reason to want to be excited about you. The same way with the Hardys. We watched the Hardys on Shotgun Saturday night for years, for however long it was. They came out on Raw one day, and it happened really, really quickly. The music hit, the cameras was jumping everywhere, and we see Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Michael Hayes coming out and matching outfits, and it was quick, intense matches. And I was like, yo, what the heck? Every weekend it was the same group. It was the Hardys. It was Too Much, as in Brian Christopher and
Attitude Hottie?
Grandmaster Sexay and Scottish Too Hottie as Too Much before they kind of jokingly became Too Cool. And you had S.A. Rios, and then you had a recap of whatever happened that week. That was your blueprint. All of a sudden, the Hardys, out there with a whole new look. Jeff Hardy debuts the Swanton on a different level, and it was off to the races. They were a young tag team, but then you had guys like Edge Christian, you had the Dudleys kind of infusing it, and then everybody else that came in between.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that in AEW. Like, there's no young tag team that goes, yo, these guys are it. I don't care what you tell me. I've seen a lot of good professional wrestling. If you telling me, oh, these guys are it, oh, these guys got a bright future, I respect y'all working with young dudes. I do. But I've watched a lot of wrestling. You're not going to tell me what's good or what's not good because I know what it is. I know what's a good tag team, what's not a good tag team. When I first saw FTR, when they were the revival in NXT, when they first came out, I said, oh, yeah, these guys kind of got something. They came out like the cut off jean vests and stuff like that.
I remember that.
It was something that said, oh, nah, these guys have a unique look. They have a very unique style that's kind of newish, but yet they have this nod to the old school and everything that they do. And that's been kind of the niche of who they are as a tag team. You know what I mean? So I know a good tag team when I see it. I know talent when I see it, and it doesn't mean that I'm not downplaying these guys, but I don't want to see the Hardys versus Private Party. I want to see Hardys versus Penta L and Phoenix, Ray Phoenix Jr. You know what I mean? I want to see them against, like, that's really all I got. Like, everything else is going to be old. Of course, we're going to deal with the obvious. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. Ooh, okay, I get
it. 57-54.
I want to see Jeff Hardy. I want to see Jeff Hardy in contention I want him versus Adam Page. Him versus
I was thinking I want to see him in Omega.
Sure. Yeah. Give me Hardy. Like, that's a fresh matchup. That's something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I would say give me Cody and Jeff, but that's long gone. Give me Jeff and Adam Cole. Like, give me, I want to see fresh matchups. I love the familiar faces. I don't mind it. I didn't rant it long enough about it. I'm just like, bro,
that might be the name of the show.
Tea, man.
Of course, we're gonna see Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. Ooh, I want to see it.
Yeah. Oh no, Darby Allin's next Jeff Hardy. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, sure he is. All right. I might not be around long enough to see Darby Allin become Jeff Hardy. Like, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, saying like Jeff, Darby Allin, he's the next. Okay, all right, I feel you. But what I got to do about now? Matt Hardy, he reminds me a lot of my brother Jeff. Okay, I'm sure everybody with face paint that's a loner, that's different, does. Look at that, I didn't cause dead air talking about this stuff.
No,
I'm just saying, man. Like, Nah, look, take your time, man. I'm trying on here, man. I really am. I really am. Like I'm trying.
Mhm.
You can take my pro wrestling fan card, and I wouldn't give a god dang. That's the crazy part, like, bro. I could care less. Like it's no way in the world that WWE is like the best thing on TV right now across the board, and it probably shouldn't be because WWE is mainstream, but then we have this counterculture that's
Mhm.
supposed to give you something different or something better. But a lot of people just found the same blueprint and then criticizing the one that's successful at it.
But
How's that possible?
the whole time, WWE's got something for everybody, right? If
But
you
see,
want,
that's what makes this show interesting.
you got you got those wrestling matches. Like you look at the WrestleMania card we talked about last week. You're gonna have your mainstream match. You're gonna have your women's matches. You're gonna have your matches that's for the wrestler. You're gonna have your old school versus new school.
There you go.
You look at the brand as a whole. You got NXT UK. Most people call that the best pure wrestling show that they offer. Then you
Right.
have
You have your pop
yeah,
culture
NXT,
icons,
huh?
pop culture icons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even like with NXT 2.0, yeah, it is character based, but they didn't get away from wrestling. They might have got away from your indie darlings, but you can see that they're preparing these people to go to the main roster. So
Yep.
it's a reason why they the number one company. Call me a show if you want. I got 2 words for you.
Wrestling Realm.
My God.
I got 2 words for you. Wrestling Realm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna tell everybody who's gonna get mad with all this AEW stuff that I'm saying.
No, man.
I love the idea of AEW. I really do. And I appreciate it because it gives place for guys like I'm telling you, like Keith Lee, they're booking him perfectly. Like it was really that simple. He's not a high maintenance guy.
Mhm.
Like the WWE micromanaged him way too much. Maybe he didn't fit into what they were looking for in regards to his style, but I'm like, man, to me it
You
was
said they had Odyssey Jones.
well, I mean he's a wrecking ball. That's what he does. He's a human wrecking ball.
Mhm.
He looks like it. He carries himself that way, but he's also a former champion, so he knows his worth. And I'm like, man, it could have been this easy, WWE. Like, you guys overly did it. You overplayed your hand unnecessarily because you were trying to make something. Carrying Cross is another one. You know, like why make all those changes and then when it doesn't work, you make the changes and then your changes don't work and then you want to release them. Not saying that this is the reason why guys got let go and
Yeah, I
stuff
know
like
what you
that, but creatively, it's like, man, y'all don't make any sense.
But you know what
You know,
though? I'll say this about like Keith Lee. He's another one. I believe that when the time came, he would have been right in AEW from the jump. Just because of their style, right? The way they like to book the wrestlers, the way like everybody knows if you're a big man that's flying around, you gonna get to the back, you're gonna see. Well, back in the day, you would get the Arn Anderson, you would get the Mark Henry, or more so Arn Anderson and Michael P.S. Hayes, and they tell you, nah, man, leave that for the little guys, right? Leave that for the Rey Mysterios. That's why Randy Orton don't do too much flying around. But then you go to AEW, I think they would have let him be Keith Lee from the jump. So he's definitely one I think had there been an AEW around, he would have been easily over there and probably would have been a champion by now.
Adam Cole's another one, man. Like I said, I'm seeing my favorites get opportunities. Now, on one hand, it's probably taking away opportunity from somebody else that was either there before him
Mhm.
or whatever. But I'm like, man, I'm always skeptical because I don't really trust. I don't really trust AEW and how they book their people, like
Mm.
as far as their matchups and stuff like that. So I get nervous when somebody leaves or gets cut.
But you know what though? You brought up a good point about so you talked about Private Party, right? And I was thinking as more people come across, more people slide down the card, right? But the ones who there's been people who found a way to keep themselves relevant, right? MJF, Warlow, Brian Cage didn't. Powerhouse Hobbs now finally has like probably a dance partner. And there's numerous other people, like I mentioned earlier, like the Joey Janela's of the world, who couldn't. They were signed on day one and whatnot, But now as these other people come in, they haven't found a way to keep themselves relevant. MJF said, look, he knows he's the best talker in the company. So it's like you can't, no matter who they sign, he always gonna have a spot. Private Party probably will start sliding down now. I'm gonna be honest though, I'm surprised they, kind of stayed relevant this long, but it also comes with being, them being paired with Matt Hardy. But I tell you who else I feel like might slide down because Andrade, as good as he can wrestle, I'm just
his promo skills. Oh my gosh.
I don't even want you right, and
terrible.
Who let that man talk by himself?
That's the thing. So I'm like, I kind of like, I'm trying to be understanding here because I get.
What is there to understand, Brian? They talk to me.
That English isn't his first language, and he's still learning.
Yeah, and neither is Cesaro's.
But you get a manager until people are ready.
He had 3 managers.
That is true.
But why aren't they working?
Well, one of them got released. They said Chavo Guerrero, he won't even answer the phone for him anymore.
Yeah, he released
Vicky Guerrero. Well, he was working without a contract, and he went to go do some type of, I forgot what he's on.
TV, right?
Was it reality TV? It was something that he had a chance to go do, and they said Tony Khan gave his blessing, said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." And then when he was finished, he came back like, "Hey, I'm ready to go back to work." He said he's been ghosting him.
You talking about Chavo?
Yeah,
it was the Rock show.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yep, yeah. It was Young Rock. Yep.
That's why he ghosted him.
So
WWE.
Yep.
You know why? Because The Rock and Nick Khan are friends, and Tony Khan and Tony Khan don't like Nick Khan. So he was like, "Oh no, you're gonna go work for The Rock. You too close to Nick Khan, so you can't be in this Khan. So bye bye."
That's
but the crazy part is Young Rock.
You good?
He's about to say some fire too.
Yeah, he was, and then we lost him.
He's like, the crazy part is Young Rock.
He big gone.
Oh snap! We got a laugh track.
There you go. He's back. But you was about to say the crazy part, Young Rock. What?
No, I was saying the crazy part about Young Rock. It's not even a WWE product. It's NBC Universal.
It's not. But Tony Khan. I mean, The Rock and Nick Khan grew up in Hawaii together.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, they took a picture. The Rock took a picture with him, and because I think Nick Khan's sister I might be wrong, but I believe she works with The Rock on some projects. I think everybody worked with The Rock on something. Shoot, we work with The Rock. We don't know it yet, but he worked with the Wrestling Wrealm somewhere in some universe. Probably when we go to sleep or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I'm assuming.
But light weekend wrestling though. But matter of fact, what is it here? Because the one thing you haven't did, Dwayne, you ain't tell us what you was watching. I don't know if you was watching anything today, but what did y'all watch this week? If y'all watched anything,
NXT, of course.
Well, yeah.
NXT was good. What did I watch? I don't think I watched Raw. Caught Raw.
No classics.
I'm trying to think. I'm sure I did because I watched so much throughout the week. I was watching. I will say after NXT, I went back and watched a whole bunch of old Dolph Ziggler matches.
Oh, okay.
I watched Dolph Ziggler versus Triple H when he was the WWE champion on Monday Night Raw.
Oh wow.
Yep. So let me think. What else did I? I'm sure I watched something. I don't remember what it was, but I think that was it for the most part.
Let me think. I watched NXT, of course, and then also I've been watching like a couple of the little like short documentaries about certain wrestlers. Like I watched Kurt Hennig. I'm on China right now. Just been going back, just catching whatever catches my eye, just tune into it. And that's pretty much about it. Other than that, I've just been working. But, yeah.
Yeah, I watched one of my favorite pay-per-views today. In Your House Canadian Stampede.
Hey.
Yeah, that's man, still chills when they do the Hart family introduction. That's like one of the best intros ever. You know, Brian Pillman comes out. No, first is I ain't gonna remember the order, but you know, when Owen comes out, he gets that pop, and then Brett comes out, gets that huge pop, you know, and then obviously I love the fact that it was Owen that got the pin on Stone Cold. You know, because it's like Owen being the baby brothers, like obviously Brett's the bigger star, but then also setting up for Austin and Owen down the line. But yeah, that was definitely one of my things I watched this week. And of course, the Monday Night Raws leading up to that. And man, I like finally like watched the whole Raw where Undertaker is revealed to be a murderer from Paul Bearer. And like that stuff is hilarious, man. Just the storytelling, and then the fact that they started that in July. And it's like Kane called me, and then you don't meet Kane until October. Hugh's favorite wrestler.
Yes, sir.
Man, look, you got hope, man. Dolph Ziggler may come back. You never know. Kane might surprise you.
Hey, I'm waiting for it. Man.
You keep on waiting, brother. Keep that expectation.
Yeah, I know. Right. He's gonna lay low right now for those comments, though. He almost got.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He almost.
Yeah, he came at y'all. Never mind.
Can't call me. But yeah, if y'all finish, all hearts are satisfied. Unless y'all got anything else, but we can go home.
Bye.
Yeah, man. I think there's plenty of wrestling coming up this week, man. So we can go and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like I always say every week, buy merch.
There you go.
Get the T-shirt right there in the corner. I have that one right now. Proud wrestling fans.
Yeah, that.
As a matter of fact, boom, there it is.
We just sat there with the camera off just because. Like we know Dwayne's situation.
I did.
Well, all right, folks. Y'all know the deal. Brother Hugh said buy the merch. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Wrestling Wrealm. I'll be on probably tomorrow or the day after tomorrow playing some WWE 2K22. I got the Wrestling Wrealm logos uploaded, so you know a belt's coming. Matter of fact, let me show y'all the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Money in the break.
Boom, there it is. Don't ask why.
That's a beauty. Look at
that. Yeah.
I was playing with the colors. I said, let me just do this burgundy real quick. I was like, the gold. Let me just do something different.
Uh-oh.
So yeah,
you might need some shirts in that color.
Ooh, that's the merchandiser,
yes,
the marketer. That's what y'all do. So yeah, but we about to get out of here. Shout out to Banks, who was in the chat. Shout out to Kofi Weaston of the Dirty Hills podcast. Oh, Banks from the Banks vs. Davis podcast. Appreciate y'all support as always. Till the next time, folks. Too sweet.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yes!